It's your turn here on 1330 WEBY, Northwest Florida's talk radio. Now, here's the host of Your Turn.
Ours was the first revolution in the history of mankind that truly reversed the course of government, and with three little words: we the people. We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are. Our Constitution is a document in which we the people tell the government what it is allowed to do. We the people are free.
Yes, we the people are free, and you are back. Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups. WEBY, 25,000 watts of AM broadcast power, covering parts of 4 states along the Gulf Coast: the Northwest Florida Gulf Coast, the Alabama Gulf Coast, the Mississippi Gulf Coast, parts of the Louisiana Gulf Coast, and up into southern Alabama. And we welcome those listening by the little black box called the radio. We do appreciate your listening to us today, but so many also are listening all around the nation and even around the world, and some across the big pond of the Pacific and the Atlantic. We appreciate you listening as well. Of course, Freedom Friday is connected to the world-famous and viral YouTube ppsimmons site, God and Country Christian apologetic site, with some 14 million viewers of its videos and films and some 14,000 subscribers. And because of that, we have callers from all over the United States and even the world. Just last week, we had a caller from Scotland, a caller from New York City, a caller from California, one from Kansas City, one from Canada, of course, and then all along the Gulf Coast. Today, we've already had callers from Canada and the Northern California. And right now, on the line, as we have promised you, coming from the eastern seaboard of the United States of America, Dr. Jerome Corsi. Dr. Corsi, are you on the line with us?
Yes, Carl, I'm right here. How
Good.
are you?
I'm wonderful, and thank you so much for joining us today. And I want to introduce you more appropriately, Dr. Jerome Corsi. Many of you know him because you read his articles. He is a contributing journalist to WorldNet Daily, but he is also a #1 New York Times best-selling author. He is also the senior managing director of Financial Services Group at Guilford Securities, as well as I just said, a senior staff writer for WorldNet Daily. He has a book coming out that will be released May the 17th. What's so amazing about this is not only the title of his book. Now, he has #1 best-selling, New York Times best-selling books, but this book hasn't even been released yet, and it's already skyrocketing up the polls, and I think it's probably not only the provocative title, but Dr. Corsi's stellar background in research and journalism. But the title of the book is Where's the Birth Certificate? The Case That Barack Obama is Not Eligible to be President. Wow, Dr. Corsi, what a title. You're pretty emphatic about that, huh?
I am. And we've got to distinguish here for a minute, because the book is not going to be out until the 17th of May.
Yes.
And so I want to talk about the issues. I've written a lot of articles about this. The book itself, we're going to be, it happened. Drudge put the book on, the cover of the book on the Drudge Report's homepage for 2 days this week.
Right.
And the sales, pre-publication sales, have just gone through the roof.
Yeah.
Unlike any book I've ever done. I mean, Drudge has put, this is my third book that Drudge has had the cover of it on the Drudge homepage.
Right.
It was also Unfit for Command, I co-authored with John O'Neill.
Right, I remember that.
On the Swift Boat.
Mm-hmm. Good book.
And then also the Abomination, which I wrote in 2008.
Right.
On Barack Obama's candidacy.
Right. I have quoted that and referred to that book on many occasions.
And now this, Where's the Birth Certificate? So this is by far the earliest it's been on the charts, because of Drudge putting it on so early.
Right. And you're just being a little bit modest. I have the figures here, and since you won't give them, let me do it. So mid-morning yesterday, an image of your upcoming book was posted on Drudge. And the book was ranked at number 2,536 of all of the books on Amazon. I don't know how many books are on Amazon, hundreds of thousands, I guess. And just the image posting it was at 2,536. But then what happened after that image was posted on WorldNet Daily? it rose to number 596 among all books, and it's not even released yet.
I know. It's going to be May 17th before it's released.
I know.
It's 2 more months.
And it's number 2 on election books, number 5 in constitutional law, number 2 in nonfiction, and number 3 in executive branch books, and it's not even been released yet.
I know. This is, here we are. This is really February 17th, 18th.
It's unbelievable.
We're talking about, March, April, May.
Yeah. Well, people are interested in this topic, and every poll shows it.
It's not going away.
No, it's not.
What I've been writing about it at WorldNet Daily, WND.com now for a couple of years, and let me give you the kind of one thought that sums up where I am with the birth certificate issue in Obama, and it's this. I'm an investigative journalist, so I'm happy to believe Barack Obama was born in Hawaii, but my point is, why can't we see the long-form hospital-generated birth certificate?
That's right. That's all we've ever asked.
It's all that's the main question. Barack Obama says he was born in Kapiolani Hospital in Hawaii, so fine. We all say that's great, and like Ronald Reagan emphasized, we can all trust what we want to verify. So why can't we see this long-form hospital-generated birth certificate? It's not. It shouldn't be a national security secret.
Right.
Right. Americans all over the country. I'm sure thousands of Americans listening to us today. You have to get your birth certificate.
Right.
To get your children into school, they have to see a birth certificate.
Or to play Little League Baseball.
Right, to get a passport, to get a driver's license. Americans are commonly asked to show their birth certificate, not take offense by it. And you would think that the President of the United States, especially when the Constitution, Article 2, Section 1, requires that a person be a natural-born citizen, not just a citizen, but a natural-born citizen.
Right.
More restrictive characteristic. That an applicant to be president or the president would show their birth certificate, prove the point. And Barack Obama, instead of doing that, he's now more than 2 years in office. We're into the 3rd year in office, and we still have stonewalling from the Obama administration on not only the birth certificate, but a whole range of documents about Obama.
Right.
We can't see the passport records or the travel records. Can't see his school records to know if he was in school as a foreign exchange student. We don't have his grades. We don't have Barack Obama's law school records. We don't have his records in a law office. You ask who his clients were and how he billed. Can't see those. A lot of the records are destroyed, with Obama. The dog ate them. So I want to say, like your kids with their homework, the dog ate it.
Right.
I did my homework, but the dog ate it.
Right.
And so Barack Obama would say, well, how about your calendar when you were state legislature, up in Illinois? Well, either we didn't keep a calendar, he says, or we had one and they're gone, they're destroyed.
Dog ate that.
Dog ate that.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is an undocumented president.
Yeah, he's an undocumented government worker.
He's an undocumented worker in the White House.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Corsi, and you raised the point just a moment ago, a very good point, and that is that to show a long-form birth certificate, which merely says he was born in such and such state at such and such hospital, attended by Dr. So-and-so.
Correct.
That is not a national security issue. Every president that we've ever had either has done that or could do it or can do it or will do it. And think about it, Dr. Corsi. We know the childhood home. There's a monument in front of the childhood home of Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, George H. Bush. And, there are monuments in front of their homes.
Right.
Where is there a home in Hawaii with a monument posted saying, this is Barack Obama's birthplace home, his childhood home, attested to by all of these legal documentations and all of these neighbors? There is none.
That's right. And, in 2008, when I was writing and defending the abomination, I went to Hawaii and hired private investigators.
I
remember.
remember.
I reported in WorldNet Daily that, at the time, that we could not find birth records for Obama in any hospital.
Right.
And that was the time we had, money. I'm sure we'd have paid for the birth records, and people knew that.
Right. And then
there were a lot of people in Hawaii searching for the birth records, and they've never been found.
Right. Well, and then, of course, there was the case of Tim Adams, the Hawaii elections official, who worked in the department that could put his hands on it. He tried. His boss told him they didn't exist. He tried. He couldn't find them, and now he has signed an affidavit, which WorldNet Daily has reported, stating that he's willing to testify that there is no long-form birth certificate for Barack Obama in Hawaii.
That's right, and I interviewed Tim Adams myself and worked with him to prepare that affidavit. And what Tim Adams said was that when he was working in the county Office of Elections in Honolulu in 2008, he was told repeatedly, don't you know there is no long-form birth certificate, and quit asking. And none of the hospitals have birth records of Obama. I mean, he was pretty much reprimanded by his superiors for daring to raise the question.
Right.
And this is the kind of thing, it's common knowledge in Hawaii, it was when I was out there, that none of the hospitals have birth records of Obama. And, this is a key issue, and it's a key problem for Obama. Let's face it, I mean, Carl, this is a controversy that the White House ought to be able to end in about 20 minutes.
20 minutes, $200, it could be ended.
I think it's only $15.
Okay, well, $15.
Basically, President says, look, I waive all my rights of privacy, and I authorize the Hawaii Department of Health to release all my birth records.
Right.
That can be written out in White House stationery and signed by Barack Obama, and it can be presented officially to the governor of Hawaii. Now there's no privacy restrictions, and what's the problem? Go ahead and release all the documentation the state has. But Obama won't do that.
Well, and I maintain it's because he can't, and I think you probably maintain that by now as well.
I'm an investigative reporter, and so, what I maintain is that when politicians will not release documents, there's a cover-up going on.
Right.
You don't know for sure necessarily what they're covering
it is,
up,
right.
but something's being covered up.
Something's being covered up, yeah.
And my classic proof of that is Richard Nixon and Watergate. And my advice is it doesn't end up too well for politicians who think that they can just weather the storm and never produce the documents.
Right. Well, listen.
Again, my proof of that is with Richard Nixon and Watergate.
And that is a tremendous example, a wonderful anecdotal proof that these things never turn out well. We're going to take our next break, Dr. Corsi, but right before we do, something for our folks to ponder on, and I know you will discuss it when we come back, and that is the latest, most precarious piece of evidence in all of this, I suppose, for Obama, is the fact that his friend, Governor Abercrombie, ran on the campaign platform that he would produce it when he went in office to shut us stupid, quote, birthers up. Now he's in office, and so far, he has not produced it either.
That's right. I'll be happy to talk about that when we
get
back.
Good. Let's talk about that on the other side of the break. Folks, we do have Dr. Jerome Corsi with us. You are listening to Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups, WEBY. Right after this brief time out, we'll be right back.
Now, back to your turn on 1330 WEBY, Northwest Florida's talk radio. The phone lines are open, so call in and join the conversation at 623-1330.
Whenever possible, my administration will make all information available to the American people so that they can make informed judgments and hold us accountable.
Aha. Whenever possible. Whenever possible. Those words are very important. Dr. Jerome Corsi is our guest this afternoon on Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups. Dr. Corsi, whenever possible, his administration is going to make all documents available to the American people so that he can be held accountable. What do you think about that?
Well, it's a nice statement. I wish President Obama would live up to it.
Yeah.
It's not been done in any number of areas, and certainly the birth certificate controversy and releasing this myriad of documents about President Obama's past that are still suppressed is a big issue.
Well, it is. And then on top of that, you've got the governor, right, Neil Abercrombie, that ran on the platform that when he went in office, that, I've known Obama since I know he's from Hawaii. This is a no-brainer. I can make those birthers look stupid. I can make them look ridiculous. When I go in office, I'll produce their certificate. Well, he's in office. He's been interviewed. WorldNet Daily has interviewed him. The Honolulu Star-Advertiser has interviewed him. And embarrassingly, he has not, and I maintain, that he probably cannot produce the long-form birth certificate. What say you about Abercrombie?
Well, Abercrombie, first of all, people got to realize Abercrombie has known Obama, for decades, if not since he was a child. I maintain when Abercrombie said he knew Obama when he was first born, the New York Times says, does that mean you were at the hospital when Obama was born? Abercrombie said, no, he wasn't at the hospital.
That's right.
And, of course, Ann Dunham left with the baby, left Hawaii. Within 3 weeks of the baby being born, she was in Washington State taking extension courses at the University of Washington in Seattle.
Right.
She never came back until after Barack Obama Sr. left Hawaii in June 1962 to go to Harvard. So Abercrombie didn't see the Obama family together unless he went to Seattle, and Barack Obama Sr. never came to Seattle.
Right. And then, as you just pointed out, when Abercrombie was pressed with the details, he said, well, I knew him as a toddler. I knew him as a toddler.
Well,
so you weren't there when he was born.
Again, that's all very convenient, and there's no photographs to document any of that.
Right.
Then Abercrombie came in and he said he was going to find the Obama birth records and release them to the public.
Right.
And with big fanfare. I mean, he gave interviews to about everybody, Washington Times, Washington Post,
with some very disparaging remarks directed at people like you and me.
Kicked the birthers, the birthers, saying, we're gonna make fools out of them.
Yes.
And so then Abercrombie comes into office and he's looking around. We don't hear anything. He goes mum on the topic. And finally, just a few weeks ago, the end of January, about January 20th or January 18th, Abercrombie gives an interview to the Honolulu Star-Advertiser, and he acknowledges he hasn't found anything.
Right.
He can't find the long-form birth certificate. He certainly doesn't talk about it.
Right.
Says they found this notation in the Hawaii records of a birth.
Right. And then the Department of Health director mysteriously is ousted. First we heard they resigned, but then he said, then the statement he gave is that he was ousted and didn't know why. And this was just a few days after that interview.
Correct. I suspect they're related, but I can't find a statement out of this.
I know.
The ousted Department of Health official, but it certainly seems like he didn't come up with the documents Abercrombie wanted, so he's gone.
Well, do you think, Dr. Corsi, it might be related, and we can only speculate, but do you think it might be related to Mike Evans, On the Road with Mike Evans, his interview with 35 nationally syndicated radio programs a few days after Abercrombie's faux pas with the Honolulu Star-Advertiser? Mike Evans goes on record stating that he talked with the governor and the governor assured him there was no birth record. And then a few days later, the health director is ousted.
Well, and also a few days later, Mike Evans recants the story.
Yeah.
Evans, again, is another long-term friend, decades of Abercrombie.
Right.
And Evans basically was, saying to the radio stations, I heard it, we recorded it at WorldNet Daily. We put it up on the website. That Mike Evans said that he talked to Abercrombie, and Abercrombie told him he looked everywhere and he could not find a long-form birth certificate.
So in either case, either Mike Evans was lying over the radio, or he was telling the truth, and he was told to shut up about it and recant his story. Neither one are very good prospects.
Well, right, exactly. And I probably bet on the second one because I sure listened to a lot of those interviews, and Evans was bragging that he talked to, at least three times that we have recorded. Mike Evans made it clear he talked to Abercrombie, and Abercrombie told him that there was no long-form birth certificate.
Right.
And that complies with everything else that appears to be the case.
Right.
This notation that the birth occurred probably came from when the grandparents, who I think are the ones who registered the birth in Hawaii.
I agree. That's been my theory.
I think that because the address in the birth announcements in the newspaper is the grandparents' address.
That's right.
I went and researched that, found out that Barack Obama's father and mother never lived at that address together.
Right.
And so the grandparents probably went in and put their address down. Hawaii law permitted you then and today to register as a Hawaii birth, a birth that is out of state, even out of country.
Right.
Because Hawaii is very lax on this. Hawaii, basically wants more people to be considered Hawaii citizens.
Right.
And so they allow families to come in with testimony that a baby was born to them in Hawaii.
Right.
and then they give this short form certification of live birth.
And isn't it interesting, Dr. Corsi, that short form certification of live birth is not even accepted by the Hawaii government for certain high-level government positions in Hawaii?
Or for certain designations like land that require someone to be an actual Hawaiian native, with roots back to Hawaiian ancestry for 2 or 3 generations.
Right.
And the State Department, our State Department has on the State Department website, if you take a look at it, at least it did until recently, and I screen captured it. We've talked about this in WorldNet Daily, that, the short forms of birth certificates are not accepted by the State Department in every instance as proof of citizenship.
Right.
Because many states use these short forms as substitutes for there being no long-form hospital-generated birth certificate, and yet they want to, for one reason or another, consider the person to have been born in that state.
Right.
Face it, states have a lot of reasons why they want people to be registered as born there.
Right.
Including federal money that they can get.
Right.
If there's more votes in the legislature, if they can identify citizenship to be larger numbers.
Right. Well, even though we're heard all over the United States and the world and along the Gulf Coast, we generate our broadcast out of Northwest Florida. And I'm very familiar with Florida law, and you cannot get a Florida driver's license with a short form birth certificate from Hawaii. You cannot. So
Right.
Obama could not get a driver's license in the state of Florida, yet he can have his finger on the red button and command the American military.
Well, I mean, I've made points of this in WorldNet Daily many times, that Hawaii gave a birth certificate to the Chinese nationalist Sun Yat-sen.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be born in China, so he got a bunch of people to give affidavits that they were there when he was born in Hawaii, and Hawaii issued Sun Yat-sen a birth certificate.
Unbelievable. Dr. Jerry Corsi. We will be back with Dr. Jerome Corsi right after this brief timeout. Folks, you are listening to Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups right here on WEBY. We're going to take this brief timeout. We're going to listen to the news. We're going to catch you up on the latest in headline news. You'll hear some of our sponsors who make this program possible. Then we'll be right back with more from Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups and Dr. Jerome Corsi, talking about the Obama eligibility issue, his book, and so much more. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Welcome back to this every Friday special edition of Your Turn. It's called Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups. We're here every Friday afternoon from 4 to 6 p.m. Central Time. Our guest this afternoon is Dr. Jerome Corsi. Dr. Corsi is a #1 New York Times bestselling author, and he is the senior managing director in the financial services group at Guilford Securities, and he is a senior staff writer for WorldNetDaily.com. Let me encourage you, those that are listening to Freedom Friday, if you do not go to WorldNetDaily.com regularly or daily, you must make it a part of your daily news gathering schedule, because WorldNet Daily, they do investigative reporting like it's supposed to be done. They get to the bottom of the issue. They do not worry about political correctness. They will spend the money. They will spend the time. They will hire private investigators to get the root of the story. If they make a mistake, which is rare, they correct it. If they find new information, they report it. They are reliable, they are trustworthy, and they are in depth. And Dr. Corsi is one of the senior staff writers. Dr. Corsi, it's our honor and pleasure to have you on Freedom Friday today.
It's great to be with you.
Well, listen, thank you so much. Let's go back to the Obama eligibility issue very quickly. Supreme Court has said they will have a hearing on March the 4th. What are your predictions? Twofold. Number one, do you think Kagan and Sotomayor will recuse themselves from that hearing if they have it? And number two, if they have it, do you think they will actually hear the merits of the case this time?
Well,
what do you predict?
The hearing is about whether they're going to hear the merits of the case.
Okay.
And I think I've not counted on the Supreme Court, because courts do not like to get into political debates, especially when it could involve removing somebody from office.
Right.
And the court is really not going to want to debate whether Barack Obama is eligible to be president, with the possibility he would be uneligible and have a constitutional crisis.
Right.
Sotomayor and Kagan should recuse themselves, because if Obama was ineligible for president, then he put them on the court, and they would not have been legitimately put on the court.
Yeah, I know.
We've got a mess on our hands if Barack Obama has lied about his birth certificate and other issues, including, the dual nationality at birth, because his father was a Kenya.
I know.
Barack Obama at birth was also a member of the Commonwealth of Great Britain.
Which is why I have said since day one, in my heart, even though I cannot stand his politics, and I'm looking forward to him being defeated politically, in my heart, I hope it turns out that he is a United States citizen and is natural born.
Well, see, I don't care. I'm an investigative reporter.
I know.
I'm just intrigued by the controversy, and I want the truth.
I know, me too. Me as well. Dr. Corsi, we have to go. You've taken us right on through this hour masterfully. Thank you so much for your appearance today on Freedom Friday.
Well, Carl, great pleasure to be with you. I look forward to coming back.
Thank you, Ian. You will be back, and good luck to your upcoming book, released May the 17th, Where's the Birth Certificate? The case that Barack Obama is not eligible to be president. Good luck on that.
Thank you very much.
God bless you, Dr. Corsi. Thank you so much. Well, folks, you have been listening to Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups, Mallory Bardwell, our world-famous producer. 166 hours from now, we will be right back, right here on 1330 WEBY. God bless you, and God bless America. I pray that you find yourself in the house of the Lord this weekend. See you 166 hours from now.